Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Honorable Past President of the ICI, C.A. Sunil Talati ji, Honorable Past President of the ICI, C. Amarjit Chopra ji, my co-chairman or rather the immediate past chairman of the Committee for Aggregation of CA Firm, my brother Sanjay Agrawal ji, and my dear friends who are attending this webinar in a very large number, team committee and team technical. I, C. Satish Kumar Gupta, Chairman of Aggregation of CA Firm Committee, welcome each one of you in this very important webinar titling Ask the Experience Series Scaling and Growth Strategies for CA Firms. Friends, today we have amongst us two luminaries of the CA profession, C.A. Sunil Talati ji and C.A. Amarjit Chopra ji. C.A. Sunil Talati ji was our past president in the year 2007-8. I am very well reminded when I was chairman of Jaipur branch, then he was in the line of becoming leader of this profession. And when I was the Sikasa chairman of Jaipur branch, he became the president of the ICI. So it's really great, sir, to have that honor today also that you are with us in a very important webinar. Mr. C. Talati ji is a distinguished leader of the profession with over 3 decades of rich experience, rather 5 decades, I can say, because that entire family is for the profession, fully dedicated for the profession. He is expert of audit, taxation, and advisory services. I know that whenever we have invited him for any professional work at Jaipur, he has always come and he has always deliberated. So I can say so nicely that all the members still remember him. And it is our privilege to welcome you again, sir. He is the senior partner at Talati & Talati LLP Ahmedabad, and he is widely respected for his vision, leadership, and enduring contribution to the growth of global positioning of the Indian accountancy profession. And I think that he is the right person on the topic, Ask the Experience, Series Scaling and Growth Strategy of all CA firms. Another luminary we have today, the Honorable Past President of the ICI, C. Amarjit Chopra ji. He was the past president in the year 2010-11, and he was the chairman of a National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards by the central government for 4 years. That is another, I can say, achievement of Sri Chopra ji. Friends, Sri Chopra ji is also very dynamic professional, and he is the expert of the audit, and he is the supporter of the quality in audit and quality in the profession. And I think today on the topic is the person who will definitely make us some value addition in our knowledge. So welcome Chopra ji again to this webinar organized by the Aggregation of CA Firm Committee. Sir, before I say anything, I would definitely like to say that aggregation in need of the hour. And at this committee, sir, we have 6 models. The one is the merger model, very old model, sir. Another is the networking model. Again, it is very old, sir. Last year, sir, under the leadership of Sanjay Agrawal ji, we brought networking of foreign firms, sir. That is again very good model, sir. We have very old model of the corporate form of practice, that is the management consultancy company. We brought in 2019 the MDP guidelines, but could not take its own way as of now. But still, it's a really good, sir. So these models we have as of now, but challenges are big. Challenges are of the mindset. Challenges are of the there are several small questions with the practitioner have in mind that what will happen to my firm name, what will happen to empanelment with the C&AG or the Reserve Bank of India, how would we distribute the fees, what will happen if I join the big firm, whether I will survive there or not, or I will be finished. So there are several types of questions our members have in their mind. So today, with your guidance, with your patronage, we want to deliberate that how can a CA firm make their growth strategy, how can they scale up, how can they go ahead in this competitive era, and how can the government support to all those members who want to aggregate, who want to scale up. So this will be the entire focus of the today's panel discussion. Sir, the first session shall be taken, lead shall be taken by my brother C. Sanjay Agarwal ji, and I will join in the second session. But before Sanjay Agarwal ji start, I would request to give his opening remarks also, so that things can go ahead. Over to Sanjay Agarwal ji.
Thank you, Chairman, and I welcome Honorable former Chairman, former President 7-8 CA Sunil Talati ji, and also my President, because I have done my articleship in council under the Chopra ji, CA Amarjit Chopra ji, 2010-11. That was the first year when I entered in the council. So this particular today's meeting, when we have thought it and we have designed it, so we wanted that since you both were inside the institute also, and now you are holding large firms, you are also having a very great experience of dealing with the members also, with their problems also. So nothing best we could have thought it at, and this is known to the world that you both are candid, both are very frank, and today's session is not only about the goodies, but today's session, where is the pain point? Where is the pain point which is required to be known to the member so that they can join any of these schemes, what my chairman has already said. So not wasting much of the time, Chairman, can you start the question or should I?
No, you please.
So, okay, so sir, first general question I will be putting to the Talati sir, and the same question will be asked to the Chopra sir for the purpose of knowing the views. So if you do not agree, both of you do not agree, try to see this, that some solution is worked out to the members on the question. That is more important. So, sir, what is your success story in your life? How do you find yourself that today your firms are working pretty good? And what is your actual experience while in the journey of 40-50 years? What are the hurdles you have faced and how you have come of that order? Quickly, 5-7 minutes, if you can tell us.
Thank you so much, Chairman Mr. Satish Gupta and Sanjay Agarwal ji. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be a part of this wonderful seminar that you have organized. And to all the listeners and participants, I must tell that just appreciate how important it is that Institute and Council thought it fit to have a separate committee for aggregation. During our tenure, this was just not there. And therefore, let me start with you how I started. I started in 76 as a sole proprietor. And for 5 years, I was sole proprietor. And after my brother became CA, we became partnership firm. And that's how my firm's name is Talati and Talati since 76. And all throughout, I was having Talati and Talati, only two partners, me and my brother. And in 2 years after I started, one of the very close friend of my father, who was working with a very big company, thought to open an office in Baroda. And he approached me, and I started office in Baroda in the name of Parikh and Talati. And let me tell you, friends, since I joined council in 2000, and Mr. Amarjit Chopra was already there. And incidentally, we had a great wavelength right from first meeting when we had at Mumbai. when old council members and new council members are invited. And since then, me and Amarjit Chopra are very close friends and we have exchanged a lot of thoughts. And right from 2000, after joining council and talking to other council members like Mr. Chopra and other, I realized that if you want to grow, you just cannot grow with your brother or your family or being just one or two partners. And immediately in 2001, I changed the name of my Baroda firm to Talati and Talati. Of course, at that time, those formula and scheme of institute was not there of mergers. But that was the opening eye for me, that I realized that if you want to grow, you have to join hands and you have to have more wings if you want to fly high. If you are I was very good in tax. And for all the years, initially, I was handling maximum survey and search case and settlement cases. But then that was my field. Audit, my brother was handling. Baroda work, Baroda partner was handling. But we are not growing. I mean, after starting my practice for almost 20 years, my receipt was below tax audit limit. That was the position. We'll be able to appreciate. So that was the realization point that yes, if we have to grow, we have to join the hands. And that's how this committee has been formed for aggregation. So my very first point to all listeners is that whatever hard work you are doing, whatever intelligent you are, but if you are a proprietor or two partners, there is a limit to grow. And therefore, let me start with saying whether this growth is a strategy or it is a matter of survival. I have no hesitation in mentioning, as I mentioned, that my receipts were below tax audit limit for so many years. Even now in Ahmedabad, there are hundreds of chartered accountants who are practicing since 20, 30 years, and their limit is much below tax audit limit. That's the fate of the practicing chartered accountant. And now when there is an area and arena, when new fresh chartered accountant gets a job offer of minimum 1 lakh per month, 12 to 15 lakh easily, if your net receipts, even after 20, 30 years of practice is 30, 40 lakhs, and even if your net saving is 60%, where are you? And therefore, let me conclude with the opening remarks that yes, I would say if you want to survive, but really if you want to grow along with in this challenging, surviving, competitive field of practicing chartered accountant, aggregation and joining hand is a must. Do it by merger, do it by joining other firm, do it by inviting other firms, partners in your firm. I'll talk about that later on. But my fundamental point is for growth, for expansion, for creating your brand, and for serving the entire areas of various services that ACA can do, there is no option but to join hands. Thank you.
Okay, so Chopra sir, your view on your journey in the council and also running the practicing firm, the hurdles which you have faced, and in the growth, sometime your partners are coming, some new partners are coming, and some old are getting some hit. They are supposed to share their shares also, and you have to provide some new partners something new. So, what is the your role in this particular total? Your today's you are there for 40, 50 years in the practice, and you have seen every weather. So, what is your success story you would like to listen?
Thank you, Sanjay, and thanks, Stage Ji, for inviting me and Sunil Talati ji here for this wonderful discussion on a very important and relevant topic. And I must say, it's a burning topic for the current period. I'm really thankful to Sunil ji, whatever good words he has said. And it is a fact that we have been together since 2001. And we have known each other very well. We have fought with each other very well. We have loved each other a lot. There's no doubt about it. the good part is that despite all, at times there could be differences of opinions. But unlike so many other people, we never fought out on those issues. And I think you can agree to disagree on certain points, but ultimately you should work for the interest of the institute and interest of the profession. I think that has been the foremost consideration that we had. And sometimes I wonder that when people say that I have a disagreement with him, when you start working absolutely at cross purposes, I don't think that should be the spirit. You can have a difference of opinion, there's no doubt about it for that matter. But I think one thing which has been common to both of us all through is that we have been talking of the growth of the profession, how the profession has to grow. Now, whether we succeeded or we failed, I do not like to comment upon that, very frankly. But the fact of the matter is, when I qualified in 1975, right from the word go, I was a partner. I never bothered about the name. The firm which I continued with for 32 years with the same name was Surendra Kejan and Company. My name never figured, very frankly. And when we wanted to have a merger with somebody, it was he who insisted that the name should be changed. And that is how the GSA emerged, basically. But that gentleman then demerged within a period of 8 to 9 months. But GSA remained. But the first partnership continued for a period of 32 years. And when, of course, for reasons which one may not like to spell out, but I will only say that that partnership continued, and whatever has been the growth of mine, very frankly, it has been due to the partnership. Let me be very frank about it. If you are in partnership, I think you have to treat partnership like a matrimony. Let me be very clear about it. And I think that has been my concept right from the day one. When you marry somebody, you don't have to look at the deficiencies of the other person. You have to look at the strong points of the other person. You must try to take advantage of the strong points of the other person. Ignore the weaknesses and then try to motivate or inspire that particular person how to improve upon those deficiencies. And I think that has been the hallmark of any partnership. Wherever the partnership has survived, you have to survive on a blind faith, basically. And we continued for a period of 32 years. And of course, even there can be differences about within the brothers also. And after 32 years, we just came out. And 7 of us came out together, and 2 of them were on the other side of it. Because one of the partners' son actually got into the firm. And that was the reason probably that the firm had to split. But the fact of the matter is, I have no grievance against those partners also. Let me be very clear about it. I still feel that wherever I am today, it has been a part of their hard work also. They have also contributed very immensely to that particular growth of mine as an individual, even in my personality, whatever growth has taken place. My only request to the entire fraternity today, the CA fraternity, is that don't look at partnership for the purpose of the C&AG audit and the bank audit. Let me be very clear about it. And I think that has been the worst part of the partnerships that we have today. Whatever mergers have taken place, these mergers have taken place basically with an eye on the bank audit. And frankly speaking, Sanjay ji, if you ask me, I think we have faltered as an institute. It was during my presidency period that we went to the C&AG and told There were many cases where a person had conducted maybe 200 tax audits, but his own income was below the taxable limit. Can you beat it? I think these are all the examples that we can give. No, that is not the kind of practice that we want under any circumstances. And whatever aggregation you may talk of, very frankly, what I think networking or mergers or branding will come by quality of the work. Let's be very clear about it. Branding cannot come by just having a larger number in the firm. The branding will come when you do a good job. I think some of the youngsters are doing fantastic jobs, very frankly, if you ask me. Within Delhi also. They may not be very large in number. Some of the individuals who are doing GST practice as proprietors, their brand is pretty high. Let me be very clear about it. Some of the individuals who may be doing only FEMA practice, their brand is very high in respect of their fields. So brand depends upon the quality of the service that you render. Brand will never depend upon the number of the persons that you have in the firm for that matter. So to my mind, and then the ethical practices is one area where probably we need to be very, very careful about. So my humble submission, Sanjay Ji, is number one, we must promote partnerships, but this more inducement, this inspiration, this motivation has to be more in the Mufassil towns than anywhere else. And then the entire structure of aggregation, very frankly, should be looked at from the viewpoint of a Mufassil town practitioner. Today, if at all the people are going to suffer because of various reasons, please look at the practitioners in the Mufassil town, what is going to happen. People cannot depend upon branch audit anymore. I don't give more than 3 to 5 years for the branch audit. I have been saying it for ages, very frankly, not from today. I think I have been talking about it for more than 20 years, that you can't depend upon the branch audit. People cannot depend upon the tax audits. Then what will be the kind of practice which will be left for the people practicing in the Mufassil town? I think Institute must start thinking in those terms, must try to motivate these people to come into networking or mergers with the firms which are slightly bigger than them in the bigger towns for that matter. That is how the profession is going to survive. And as Talati put it very aptly, it's not a matter of anything, it's not a matter of growth, it's a matter of survival today. If we don't aggregate, if we don't actually do all this, the profession is not going to survive. Particularly the practitioners in the Mufassil towns may not survive in the times to come. There are people in Ludhiana now who are doing very well. They have aggregated. They have done very well. Even in cities like Amritsar or Jalandhar, people have tried to aggregate and they are doing very well. And it's all over India. Wherever people have aggregated, not for the purpose of C&AG. Again, I am saying, not for the purpose of C&AG and bank audit. Because I have come across firms where 6 firms join. One of the firm conducts the first audit, the second firm conducts the audit in the second year, the third firm conducts the audit in the third year. That is not the way. I think the client has to be given an impression that we are all together. We are just one, and that has to be the partnership form. That's all I would like to say to begin with.
Talati sir, I would like to ask a very personal question. That while in all 40-50 years, I'll come back with the same question, that sometime when you are growing and you find that, yes, I want a good amount, why should I now progress and why should I, because there is a saturation point, sometime it comes in the life. So still, for the purpose of the profession, you continue to work even today. So the new members or new partner, when they are joining you, sometime it might have happened that your current intake might have gone down because some of the new people you wanted to retain them and they reach the benefit in the next 5-7 years. So what is your thought that is it the your intake which is important, or it is the name, fame, or the growth of the firm is important in your life?
Sanjay ji, I would say this is really a $1 million point that you have raised. And when I say $1 million, I mean it. And let me tell you why this. Because the mentality of a person is that yes, when I am earning, I put all the efforts. And my net receipt, let us say, as on today, it is 50 lakhs of rupees. And if I'm asking XYZ to join me, my 50 lakhs will become 45 or 42 next year. Why should I join him? This is the main worry, which is unwarranted, but is there in the mindset of 99% of the chartered accountants. And that has to go. As I am mentioning in all my lectures, let us be very clear. Partnership is like a marriage in profession. When you really want to get married, you see, unless you are in love with someone, it's in school or college, by which 99% of CS cannot afford when they are doing their articles. But when you want to get married, you see different kinds of girls. And after asking various questions, their background, their family, you select a girl and get married with her. Then you tolerate her, whatever she is, whether she knows cooking, whether she wants outing, whether she wears fancy dress, whether she does something different, you tolerate. More than that, she tolerates you. Whatever is your nature. Chopra will agree, I am the most short-tempered person. And my wife has tolerated me for 50 years. So that is the fundamental requirement, that take your time to select a partner. But once you select a partner, you must tolerate all his habits, nature, and he will in turn tolerate your bossism or whatever you say. That's point 2. Point 3 is, yes, in the immediate next year or for 2 years, your income would be less than what you are earning today. I'm talking about proprietor when you join or make 2 partners. If you are 2 and you're making 4, same principle. But you have to be financially and mentally ready that for first 2 years, that person will share more and my income would be lesser than what I had earlier 2 years. But for sure, guaranteed, the 3rd year onwards will be beneficial to you substantially. Not only your income will increase, not only your firm's income will increase, but even that partner's income will substantially increase. So that is a fundamental point number 1. And point 2 is, as I mentioned, take a decision whether you want to grow in, Chopra ji mentioned, Mofussil areas. You want to take those people who are in Mofussil, or you want to grow in metros and big cities. See, there is a difference. If in Ahmedabad, if I open branches in small cities like Nadia, the Anand, Mehsana, Palanpur, their growth is very limited. And in Mofussil, there are chartered accountants who are practicing with cutthroat competition. As a past president, I'm cautiously using the words that even now we have some chartered accountants who put their stamp and signature even without looking at the books. And we earn bad name because of them. That's why what is important is that in Mofussil areas and small towns where some CS do this kind of practice to earn money and to see that, yes, because they are in small town where growth is limited, they don't indulge in that. Therefore, through your committee, I would suggest council must write to all income tax department. The moment you file 3CD or 3CB false, incorrect, appropriate complaint should be filed with the institute, and institute must take action with those kind of chartered accounts. Though very few, but they are there. Now coming to my own point, as you rightly said, yes, you have to be ready to tolerate the other person. You should be ready financially. But what are the advantages? There are substantial advantages. In the area where you are 0, you can now do the practice. For example, I don't know even the first page of GST, but I have a partner who is exclusively on GST. So my firm is doing GST. Personally, I am not aware, like Mr. Chopra, of Ind AS, but I have 2 partners who are master in Ind AS. They have written books on that. So this psychology and your boldness will be further enhanced once you experience a partner. Instead of 1 or 2, take 2 or 4, maybe from the same city or from the another city. That will start commencing your growth as an aggregation of the firm. Third most point, जो चोपड़ा जी ने बताया, I fully agree. अभी भी हम सब नाम के पीछे चिपक के बैठे हैं. 10 years before, let me share on the platform. 10 years before, two big firms of Ahmedabad, mine and one more, who had 20 partners. I had at that time 16 partners. One very big firm from Mumbai, who had 18 partners. One very big firm from Surat, 10 partners. We all decided to merge. And we sat and sat, number of issues we could resolve, but we could not resolve in the name of the firm. And finally, the discussion broke down and we could not merge. तो सबसे पहले ये बहुत जरूरी है, सुनील तलाटी या अमरजीत चोपड़ा is not known by the firm. Firm is known because Amarjit Chopra is there. Firm is known because Sunil Talati is there or Sanjay Agarwal is there. तो वो नाम से चिपक रहने का जो लगन होती है कि नहीं मेरा नाम क्यों चला जाए, तलाटी क्यों चला जाए, वो भूलना पड़ेगा, जो मैं आज से 10-11 साल पहले नहीं भूल पाया. अभी जब मैं भूलने के लिए तैयार हूं तो लोग आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, वो एक अलग बात है. But what I'm trying to tell the participant in short is that yes, when you join and do the aggregation, you should forget your individual identity and you have to keep focusing on the growth of the firm as a whole. Well, there was a fashion to give name of alphabets, like KPMG started, hundreds of firms started giving name KSMT, ALPT, DWT and whatever. They have not been able to grow. Show me a single firm on alphabets who have grown and have earned recognition. So again, you have to take a very cautious decision with regard to the brand of your firm and with regard to the quality of the partners. Sajay ji, I think your question was with regard to that. I have other points on which I'll come later on. But three important things I want to tell. One, do not think that immediately my income is less. Two, do not insist on your individual name. And three, forget old thinking that if I will earn, I will spend. Now the time has changed like businessmen. First you spend, you will 100% earn after some time. Have patience and have capacity to spend something. Maybe 10%, 20%, whatever that percentage you decide. But if these three mentalities cleared in your mind, I can assure you that joining of the firms, mergers and aggregation will certainly give us tremendous boost and growth to your practice. Thank you.
Sir, just listening to you before I come to Chopra sir, you mentioned in your just deliberation right now that one of your partner is doing on Ind AS and you do not know. You are doing in income tax, somebody is doing in some. So is it your success story built up because you have expanded towards the specialization in your firm? That was the reason of your success, that you have achieved some specialization. If suppose I wish to come to you that I want to get something from you, let us say get an audit of balance sheet or get an income tax case. So I am known it that the specialization and the best of best will come to you. So that was your reason for expansion, that you have gone, your partner, you have taken the partners on a different technical points.
Absolutely.
So is it correct?
Absolutely. See, the fundamental point was multidisciplinary services growth. I have to have multidisciplinary services. When institute lists out, where a chartered accountant can give so many 29 kinds of services, at least I should be in a position to give 12 kinds of services. Earlier, I was extremely good in tax. So whenever search or survey takes place, there are 3 or 5 names in the whole state, and I was one of them. But other than that, I was not having audit of big public companies. I was not having audit of big public companies, internal audits. Forget, I still remember when I and Chopra ji were sitting in the council after 3-4 years of joining, I asked him, Bhaiya, I am now in A category, mujhe statutory audit kab milega? And he said, Sunil, at least 15 years from now. 25 साल के बाद भी मुझे 15 साल तक स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट ऑफ ए बैंक के लिए वेट करना पड़ा. दैट इज द वेटिंग यू हैव टू डेवलप इन योर माइंड कि मैंने 10 फर्म बना दी, मुझे अभी स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट क्यों नहीं मिला स्टेट बैंक का या बैंक ऑफ बीकानेर या बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा का. वो अपने हिसाब से ही आएगा. सीएजी ऑडिट मुझे सालों तक नहीं मिला. After 41 years of my practice, I got first CAG audit. So that is what is important. CAG would see your growth, CAG would see your partners' firms, and in turn, you will fall in that category where you are in eligibility criteria of getting the work. But अभी भी क्या है जो चोपड़ा साहब ने बताया, छोटे छोटे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऐसे हैं, हाथ जोड़ के आते हैं मेरे पास और अनिकेत के पास, बिकॉज वी आर पास्ट प्रेसिडेंट्स, और अमरजीत के पास भी आते होंगे कि साहब ब्रांच ऑडिट दिला दो, ब्रांच ऑडिट दिला दो. हम बोलते भैया किसी के हाथ में नहीं है, प्रेसिडेंट के हाथ में भी नहीं है. नहीं साहब आप कुछ कर सकते हैं, आप स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर है, आप हमको ब्रांच ऑडिट दिला दो. नहीं मिलता है तो आके रोते हैं साहब मेरे को एक भी ब्रांच ऑडिट नहीं आया, 3 साल से नहीं आया. और जिस दिन मिलता है तो आके पैर छू जाते, सर 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 मुझे ब्रांच ऑडिट मिल गया, 10 लाख की फी मिल गई, 12 लाख की फी मिल गई, जैसे कोई लॉटरी ले गई. भैया यू डोंट डिपेंड ऑन बैंक ऑडिट्स, डोंट डिपेंड ऑन सोसाइटी एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑडिट्स, डेवलप योर ओन स्ट्रेंथ. जो मैंने किया नहीं आ रहा है, चोपड़ा जी ने बता दिया, सूर्य भी 15 साल के ले लिया, आई वाज मेंटली रेडी कि 15 साल तक मुझे अब सीएजी ऑडिट या बैंक ऑडिट नहीं आने वाला है, तो मैंने दूसरे एरिया पे फोकस किया. So now I am able to give services on whole. And I'll come to my corporate practice later on. But that is also equally important. Wherever institute guidelines and other things say, you can do this in corporate and not in the firm. ये बहुत जरूरी है. Because now demand of our clients has so much increased that if you do not, or you are not in a position to provide those services, they will go somewhere else. And the moment they go somewhere else and find them better, आपका जो प्रेजेंट का काम है टैक्स ऑडिट या इनकम, वो भी चला जाएगा. Therefore, you need to be expert in various multidisciplinary services, which we are in a position to do now. I hope I have been able to deal with your point.
Yeah. So I'll come to Chopra sir. Sir, as I said and asked the question, same question I'm putting before you, that when you started expanding or you are thinking of expanding, the money, there may be situation when your real income or your partner's real income has gone down because of the various other things which are there. But is it the hurdle for you in making your farm bigger, or you found that your quality, or as Talati sir has said, he has diversified and he has tried to acquire the specialization. Was your also part of your success story, and your comment, sir?
Sanjay ji, I will add something to whatever Sunil ji has said, very frankly. Of course, I fully endorse his view that when you add a new partner, it is bound to happen that your income levels may go down to begin with. And he gave a very good example of matrimony. कि शादी करवाते हो, when you get married, your income gets divided into two, unless she is also earning, for that matter. And when the child is born, it gets further divided, basically. But you even derive pleasure out of that, very frankly. Because you feel that having a child itself is a necessity for your ambitions, for your future. See, why do you want to have a child? Child is not only meant that he will be helping you out in the old age. No. I think he helps you in setting an objective for yourself, what you have to make this child as. Or you have to earn for someone to see that he grows up well and he attains some status in the society. Similarly, when you add a new partner in the firm, you should not be looking at it as a sort of a burden. You should be looking at it as your responsibility also, that someone has come and he has also to grow in the organization in the longer run. I can tell you that there are certain boys and there are certain girls also who are with us today, who have grown pretty well with us. It is not that they have remained stagnant. If you only think about yourself, that your income level should not go down, you can never grow. Let's be very clear about it. Another thing that I think that is one regret that I have in my life, and probably each one of us must imbibe that. Whosoever is starting the practice afresh and whosoever is starting the partnership afresh. I personally feel I should not have been working at this particular age of 74. Why should I be working? I think all the bigger firms, there is the retirement age. Maybe 64, 65, 60, whatever it is. But what they have done is, they built up that corpus that whenever you retire, at that particular point of time, you get a very good part, a very good chunk. And out of that chunk, you can lead a very, very decent life even thereafter. I think that's very important. Probably what we should have done, we should have taken some policies at the time of the start of the partnership, that if when we retire at the age of 60 or 65, whatever age can be fixed, then at that time, you don't have to care about the profession. You are caring for yourself and you can enjoy your life much better. And the best advantage of that would have been that your junior feels that he will step into your shoes after a particular period. I think that's the great motivation that a person would get. Today, if my person, my junior partner keeps on looking at me that at the age of 74, he does not leave, until the time of his death, he will continue to be there. There is slight demotivation. Let's be very clear about it. We may or may not agree with that. The other way of doing it is that after beyond a particular age, you should start reducing your share. I think that's very practical, because the other person must feel that if he is not able to contribute physically to that extent, he is able to reduce his share, and that share is being divided amongst the junior partners. I think that's very important. That unless you have that sense of sharing, unless you have that sense of sacrificing, you cannot grow in your life under any circumstances. And I'm very clear, and I fully echo whatever has been said by Sunilji, that you must think of spending today. You must think in terms of spending on technology today. And if you start spending on it, probably it may not give you the return in the same year. It will give you the return maybe after 1 year or after 2 years or after 3 years, but you are bound to gain by that. There is no doubt about it. So what I am trying to say is that somewhere or the other, you have to nurture, you have to take care of all your junior partners. And if you don't take, because the relationships have to be built over a period of time. And you must always strive for it that your partners don't leave you. Someone leaves out of compulsion, someone leaves out of something else, that's a different matter altogether. I, for one, I'm not bothered about the name of the firm, even today. Whether it will be GSA or any other name, how does it matter to me if we can grow together? I think that's far more important. I'm very clear on it. Anyone coming to me saying that you can change the name of the GSA and if we can grow together, I'm willing to grow together. Because it may not benefit me at the age of 74, but it will definitely benefit the junior partners after a period of another 6-7 years. These junior partners must feel that you have a sense of belongingness to them. You have a sense of sharing with them. You have a sense for caring for their future, basically. I think that is a very important factor. If unless you can give that feeling to the junior partners that you are caring for them, I think you cannot grow, because then they will like to go somewhere else or may try to find other avenues. And one should not feel that if he goes, how does it matter? It matters. A person who understood you, who understood your working, who understood your firm, who understood your clients, he may or may not be able to take away your clients, but at the same time, you lose out whatever time you have invested on it, whatever money you have invested on it, whatever energies you have invested on it. So you must always try to take care of it. I think one of the basic principles of growth is you should be able to work as a team rather than as an individual. I think, and that is where the leadership comes into play. As a leader, what you can do, you should be able to give an impression that if there is a balance sheet, I will give one simple example. If there is a balance sheet which is of a riskier nature, you should be prepared to sign yourself also. Why should only your juniors sign? And at times, I have been telling very frankly my juniors, "Okay, if this client goes, let him go. Doesn't make any difference. But we should not be signing on what, if I cannot sign, why should he be signing? I think that is the spirit with which a leader should be working. That's very important at the end of the day. Of course, there can be bad decisions in life. I think one may have taken certain bad decisions in life, but that's a different matter. That has been all unintentional. Intentionally, you must never be harming anybody under any circumstances. I think that's very important.
Sir, with Talati sir, when you had a transition from maybe from proprietor to small partner, 2 partner, then 5 partner, and you had an overseas also huge network or capabilities which you have built up. What are the skills? What are the capabilities which you have built up? Though this is a very personal question, but since now I can be so frank with both of you being the mentors, that what are the key skills and capabilities, technology you built up in for making your practices more? I'll come back to Chopra sir next.
Thank you. It's very, very important for all chartered accountants to know this. And you have asked very pertinent question. In all humbleness, I'm saying, I was the first chartered accountant in Ahmedabad to purchase Intercom. I'm talking of 77. I was the first chartered accountant in Ahmedabad to install that machine which were
Network.
no, वो जो कागज से मैसेज जाता था क्या बोलते थे उसको fax. I was the first CA in Ahmedabad to buy fax, and then when this became over, I was the first CA in Ahmedabad to have this telephone online system for all the chartered accountants. So technology is very important, and I always, therefore, even at this age, I'm using laptop, iPad, and iPhone whenever I am, whether in Ahmedabad, outside Ahmedabad, or outside India. So spending and investing in technology was my first criteria. And that is the requirement. I would urge all CA to do that. Second is to ask yourself, what is your competence? What is your capability? And what are the needs of the client? And that's how I decided to grow. GST ka partner nahi hai low. Let me tell you, Sanjay ji, because you are also giving so much time in council. I was number 3, as I said, in top 3 in Ahmedabad to handle settlement and such cases. The moment I joined council and become vice president and president, my practice of search survey became 0. Not a single settlement case. And during that time only, Chopra ji would recall, the law of transfer pricing came in 2006-07. And I was 0 in that. So I could never develop the practice of transfer pricing. And what happened, let the all viewers know that firms from outside came to Ahmedabad and started transfer pricing practice. My own clients, whose audit and tax I was doing, they went somewhere out for transfer pricing. And it took me 15 years to realize that if I don't have a partner on TP, I will be thrown out. And I recently took one of the very good CA from a very big 4 firm as a exclusive partner on transfer pricing. Same way, we also decided to do certain practice in corporate format. So we did another 2 good young chartered accountants from another big 4, where we are doing exclusively merger, acquisition, PLI, formation of LLP, and all those kind of services. So multidisciplinary, and what I would use the word volume and complexity. You alone cannot handle 2 searches at a time. You alone cannot do 30 or 40 tax audits sincerely and diligently. So therefore, to diverse this volume, increase it, and complexity, various kind of questions, I started taking more and more members. My 4 members are my own articles. So I realized and saw that yes, they are good in this. Let them join as a partner after some period when they work with me as a working CA. Now come to outside practice. Whenever I would go outside and move around in Dubai, I would see that so many CAs are there in Dubai. It's a lot of practice. And I would ask them. And they say, yes, Sudevi, there's a tremendous scope. Where are the good CAs who can advise really on Indian tax as well as local tax when the VAT came and now corporate tax has come. So 2 years before, 3 years before, we decided to have a MOU with the Dubai firm. And we have a lot of work now flowing from Middle East. More than that, Institute took it time. I would not blame, but I would request Institute that's in such council that in this kind of cases, council should move fast. Council took more than 2 years to come out with the guidelines to open mirror firm in GIFT City. Because in GIFT City, you have to have a practice where you only have income from foreign exchange outside India. We have now taken over the office in GIFT City and furniture is going on when we'll be starting the work from next month. So you have to be moving with the time. That if you don't open, all 4 big firms have opened huge offices in GIFT City. But hardly 1 or 2 CA firms, Indian firms, who have opened office in GIFT City, SEZ zone. So that's how you have to move. And जो चोपड़ा जी ने बताया बिल्कुल उनकी तरह मैं भी 74 complete 75 रन कर रहा हूँ. Friends, let me share you some good news also, Sanjay ji. आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा. At least मुझे बताने में अच्छा लग रहा है. Next July, I will be completing 75 years.
Oh,
In August, I'll be completing 50 years of practice. And 4 months thereafter, I'll be completing 50 years of married life. तो
okay, congratulations.
मेरी जिंदगी में ये त्रिवेणी संगम आ रहा है. तो मैं भी जो सोच रहा था कि अभी 75 के बाद क्यों प्रैक्टिस करें जब बिग 4 में 60 और 65 में रिटायरमेंट है. एंड इन एक्सेप्शन केस मैक्सिमम इज 70. बट देन you have to hand over your baton to a right person who is running behind you. He may be your junior, he may be your son, he may be a newcomer. But you just cannot pass out the baton blindly. And at the same time, you have to decide, if I want to grow personally, what would happen to other partners? Let me share with you again, confidential, but a grand reality, that some months before we were offered from a very big firm to merge with them. And condition precedent was that yes, I will be able to continue for 5 more years as an advisor, but my brother will not be because he has also completed 70. Other 3-4 partners who are 50 plus or 55 plus, they were also hesitant and reluctant. So in spite of good attractive offers from big 4, one of the big 4, we had to say no. Because I cannot be selfish for me, my son, and my limited partners. You have to think of the entire partners. Do they all are family members? जो चोपड़ा जी ने बताया कि बेटा जैसे जैसे नया पैदा होता है तो आपकी फैमिली बनती है, पार्टनर्स भी आपकी फैमिली है. तो therefore, please grow for you and for your partners. Never compare yourself with big 4. गलती से भी वो मत करना. जो फर्म मेरे पास आई उनकी लास्ट ईयर की रिसीट थी 20,000 करोड़ एंड दे हैव टारगेटेड टू रीच 30,000 करोड़ बाय 2030. सर, इंडिया में 100 करोड़ से ऊपर की रिसीट वाली भी 5 फर्म नहीं है. कहाँ 100 करोड़ और कहाँ 20,000 और 30,000 करोड़. तो वी हैव नॉट टू कंपेयर विद देम, बट वी हैव टू कंपेयर विद इंडियन फर्म्स
in your own size.
एग्जैक्टली.
In your own size. Yes.
एग्जैक्टली इन योर ओन साइज.
Yeah.
और इसमें
So
ये बात
precisely-
बहुत, अब बाद में आऊंगा मैं. ओके.
Sorry.
नहीं,
Please continue.
या कई लोग बोलते हैं कि वी कैन नेवर बी एज बिग 4. एंड आई वुड आल्सो से यस, एट लायन एंड एट लायन वुड ऑलवेज रिमेन ए लायन. टाइगर या हिप्पोपोटेमस या कोई भी अलग एनिमल है, ही कैन नेवर बी कंपेयर्ड विद अ लायन. वो लायन ही रहेगा. तो अपने का है जो इंडियन फर्म है, वी हैव टू थिंक फ्रॉम आवर साइज कि यस मेरी रिसीट आज से 10 साल पहले 5 करोड़ थी या 10 करोड़ थी, अभी 20 करोड़ हुई, अभी 40 हुई, अभी मुझे 50 करनी है या 100 करनी है. And therefore, instead of networking, merger is a better option. And I'm saying this in a public platform because since I was in council in 2008, we have started bandwagoning and giving lectures and seminar across the country for networking. And Sanjay ji, with respect, you will agree, networking has been successful. I won't use the word it has failed, but it has not clicked because of various reasons. And one of the reasons is that if your firm gets bank audit, another firm will not get, and that firm would feel by just by networking. Happening. Instead of networking, grow by size, by merger. In some areas where you are exclusive, like GST, I would say networking is a good idea. So there you don't have anything from government. So in Ahmedabad, my own article, who started GST practice 10 years before, he is now employing 75 persons under him. And he has done networking last 6 months before. And he has grown by bits and bounds. तो आप एक्सक्लूसिव जीएसटी कर रहे हो, एक्सक्लूसिव नॉन गवर्नमेंट का काम कर रहे हो, उसमें आप नेटवर्किंग करो, नो प्रॉब्लम. बट अदरवाइज इफ यू वांट टू गो मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी, complexity of services, and I would say you want to handle volume. आपके फर्म की साइज, आपके पार्टनर की साइज, आपके आर्टिकल्स की स्ट्रेंथ देख के भी आपको पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी का ऑडिट नहीं मिलेगा. बट इफ यू आर 10 पार्टनर्स एंड मोर आर्टिकल्स एंड मोर स्टाफ, certainly we will get larger audits. So that's how you grow. That's how you increase your volume. That's how you increase your name. And that's how you build your brand name. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Chopra sir, as I posed same question, but little bit I make it different. When you converted from proprietor to partner and then you continue to acquire, what is the skills and capabilities and technology you looked in the younger generation or your partners or your employees or whatever maybe the your associates, that what are the key components you thought it that they should be there in them so that they can become an asset for the firm? So this is something I would like to know it.
Sanjay ji, number one, I think one point that Talati ji made out brilliantly was that never compare yourself with the big four. And I fully agree with him on that particular point. अगर आप उनकी तरफ देखते रहोगे, if you keep looking at them, you will keep feeling inferior. I don't think we are inferior to anybody technically. Let me put it that way. Certain people can be bigger because of the size, because of many other reasons, because of so much of patronage by the government, etc., for various reasons. I don't want to get into that. I think one will have to look at Mohandas Pai's interview for that. But I do concede one point: Big Four coming into the country to an extent has been a blessing also for firms like ours. We may or may not agree with that. Number one, we also started focusing on documentation. And when they were quoting, we were also quoting. If earlier we were quoting 1, we started quoting 1.5 or 2 because they were quoting much higher. Not for audits, I think for the various other services. So I would say that there are pluses and minuses of Big Four. I'm not discussing Big Four at all for that matter. And I don't say that at any point of time I can be as big as Big Four. But the point is that under no circumstances one should feel technically inferior to anybody. And I think there I'm very, very clear about it. If somebody has to talk about audit, whether internal, statutory, forensic, etc., one is able to compete with them at any level for that matter. And the other thing that one may like to say is that when you asked me the question with regard to the juniors, number one, I never transited from proprietary to partnership. I was always a partner, right from the beginning, as I said to begin with. And the first partnership lasted 32 years. And there also we started with 2 partners, and from 2 partners we went on to become 9 partners. Today we are 12 or 11 now. Now we are 11 partners. But I have no hesitation in saying that this period is not very easy to transit, even from small partnership firm to a bigger partnership firm, because you, as I said to begin with, you have to be prepared for the sacrifices. And all the investment, the new partners will not be able to make, the juniors will not be able to make. All that investment will have to be borne by you under those circumstances. Whether this is office or this is technology, I think the junior partners expect that the senior partners will be willing to make those investments. See, in the bigger firms, when we talk of big firms, there are equity partners and non-equity partners. In our cases, that distinction is very narrowed. That's actually very blurred kind of a distinction. So I don't want to get into that particular area of equity partner and non-equity partner. Of course, it has its own, again, pluses and minuses for that matter. But the point that one will like to maintain is that you have to make sure that you transit from smaller firm to a bigger firm. Now, smaller can be proprietary or smaller partnership to a bigger partnership firm. When you introduce a particular partner, and I fully again agree with Talati ji, you please test that particular partner to full. And there, I would agree that one has committed certain kind of mistakes at different points of time. If you don't test a partner, now today one is much wiser today. If you really ask me, last 3 or 4 years has made me much wiser in that particular respect. Even if I have to merge today, I will do that merger only after absolute proper due diligence. I will not do the merger otherwise. Merger without a proper due diligence can be absolutely critical. It's really critical and can kill your firm at a particular point of time. So one should be able to view every client of his or her, whosoever is there for that matter. And if you have not been able to actually view that, what kind of clientele the other person was handling, it can be quite nasty to you at a given point of time. So my humble submission to you is that, like Talati Saab has said, that he expanded in a different way. We have expanded in a different way. He has expanded in cities, he has expanded in countries, whereas I've tried to narrow it down to Delhi and of course a city like Gurugram, or maybe to an extent in Jammu, where the partner is there. Because my experience, our experience to expand in different cities was not as good. Probably our MIS must have failed me, or something other must have failed me. So probably that trust was breached somewhere by those partners. So one will like to expand in different cities, but with a lot of caution. When you expand in different cities and you give powers to different partners, unless you are good at monitoring that, it can be very dangerous to the reputation of the firm, the branding of the firm for that matter. So one will have to be extremely careful when expanding in different countries or expanding in different cities, whether you can handle that expanding or not, with proper monitoring of those partners' work through the MIS or through other way, or you have the peer review system of the institute, you must have internal peer review system. If you have the internal peer review system, go ahead with that. But the problem comes in smaller firms like ours. In bigger firms, they have that system, very frankly. In smaller firms like ours, when I say smaller firms, mid-sized firms like ours, one partner does not like to be peer reviewed by the others. He feels offended that his work is being checked by someone else. So either you institutionalize it, that the work of one will have to be checked by the other. That will build the quality, that will bring in the ethics, that will bring in so many other positive features. But the fact remains that if you want to expand in the different cities, your monitoring system has to be absolutely perfect. And then that may lead to some kind of a dominance by few partners. And whether that dominance will be tolerated by someone else or not, it's $1 million question. In mid-sized firms, in bigger firms, it is always tolerated for various reasons. So my submission is that, as I told you, that in a mid-sized firm, the investment has to come from the senior partners. Investment will never come from the junior partners. Let's be clear, and let the senior partners be prepared for those investments. And those returns will not be coming to you in the shorter run. The returns will be coming to you only in the longer run. The senior partners have to play the role of the brand building, because they are the people who are in contact with the other people. They bring in the work, very frankly, to the firms. Younger people must execute, and it must be ensured that it is executed with the finest of the qualities if the firm has to grow. If the quality suffers, you don't lose one client, you lose a chain of clients, because this one client would have introduced you another 5 different clients. So you have lost an opportunity to be built, to have a chain reaction of those clients. So that is what I would like to say, Sanjay ji.
Sir, I'll ask once again to Chopra sir before I come back to Talati sir for the question. Sir, when we scale up, when we grow, when we expand our, as you said that you have not increased your branches, etc. Now, what are the 3-4 non-negotiable things which you looked in your partners, that if he will be like this, will not take him or will not even engage as a employee or anything? What are the few 3 non-negotiable terms which
Very
you have
clearly.
found?
Very clearly, ethical practices and the quality.
Quality. Okay.
Ethical
Anything else,
practices
sir?
and the quality. If the quality suffers, I concede a particular point that in one of the mergers we have actually been a victim somewhere. So probably one will not like that to be repeated in the lifetime again. So one will be very clear about it, that somewhere or the other, one should be clear on this particular aspect, that quality is absolutely non-negotiable. There is no way that the quality can be negotiated. And there is no way that a partner can tell you something, tells you a lie. The partner should be very open. If he is not coming today, he is not coming today. It's as simple as that. But he's sitting at home enjoying it, and then probably someone saying that I am attending the office with the client, etc. If that comes to your knowledge, or if there is a financial irregularity at any point of time, financial irregularity of even the smallest amount will not be tolerated. I'm very clear on that. That's not negotiable. Because today, if a person is willing to cheat you on 10,000 rupees, when it comes to a lakh of rupees, he's bound to cheat you for that matter. So probably there are certain things, as I said, these are the ethical practices. Ethics and the quality of the audit work, or the quality of any professional work, whether you are in GST consulting, or you are in corporate consulting, or you are any, the quality cannot suffer. Believe me, Sanjay ji and Steve ji, if somebody comes to you, me for an opinion, my opinion cannot be bought. I am clear on it. And I have told my partners that if somebody comes to you for an opinion, unless you are convinced that this opinion will be correct, never give an opinion, come what may, irrespective of the fee which is to be charged under all circumstances. I think that is what is not negotiable. You cannot say to you, and the other thing non-negotiable is the time factor. If the client wants a particular thing to be done in a particular, if you have committed a particular timeline, maybe a day or two here and there is because of the various factors. Your commitment to the client has to be final, not commitment with regard to the ethics, unethical practices, but commitment with regard to the time and the quality. That's absolutely non-negotiable.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Sir, I would like to ask very simple and candid questions, sir, from both of you, sir. Sir, we have networking guidelines since long. We have merger guidelines since long. We have corporate form of practice since long. But why we are not getting desired number of firms opting for the networking, opting for the merger, opting for the non-corporate form of practice? What are the reasons you find that these are the reasons that these our models are not successful, and how we can amend amend the things to get success in all these endeavors? So first, I would like to ask Sunil sir.
Yes, Satish ji, मैंने पहले भी बताया था why networking has failed. Earlier, I hesitated to use that word, but now let me strongly say that all the efforts of Council and Institute for Networking has miserably failed. And why so? 2-3 elements. One is lack of confidence at the other firm. फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल क्या रहता है नेटवर्किंग में? मेरा जो मेरा, हम दोनों का वो अपना, वो माइंडसेट नहीं चले. Once you are doing a networking, except for the sharing of the profit of the firm as a whole, it is for all purpose a partnership firm. That concept has to be clear in mind. That's point one. Point two, our institutes and our own government's guidelines for allotment of CAG audit and bank audit. If one firm gets a bank audit and the other firm is doing, let us say, stock audit or internal audit of other same bank in other areas, you are prohibited. तो दुखी हो जाएगा कि यार तुम इंटरनल ऑडिट कर रहे हो छोटी सी बैंक का और आपके हिसाब से मुझे ये बड़ा ऑडिट चला गया. So that is the second important point. Third important point is geographical distribution of the work. मैं अहमदाबाद में हूँ, मैं आज पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे बोल रहा हूँ कि since 10 years I am searching a person or a firm in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. I'm not getting. I'm not getting either for networking. I'm not getting either for merger. We are happy with work, what we get. Every single work will coming because of our efforts. Why should we join hands with you? And you might be having a good name in Gujarat area and Western area, but in South your name is not that much known. And therefore I don't think we can get. So that all these 3-4 items of the mindset is stopping the people to merge. But those who want to grow and lose the individual identity can certainly go for the mergers. And let me therefore give you the latest example which has happened just 24 hours before. Just 24 hours before, friends. One of the firm in Ahmedabad who have 5 partners practicing since last more than 25 years. 2 of the partners, past chairman of Ahmedabad branch, they have merged with Bombay's one of the best firms I would name, Bansi Mehta and Company. Bansi Mehta and Company have office in Mumbai for years. They have office in Delhi. They have office in Hyderabad. They were not having office in Ahmedabad. And this firm found it that yes, if they want to open an office in Ahmedabad, we have no issue in merging with them and forget our name and join them. And they have merged with effect from 1st May. And they know that yes, this firm is very good in IBC practice. This firm is very good in other areas, but you're almost zero in tax. You're hardly anything in good audits, be it internal or statutory audit. Now they are confident that because of this name and label, we will get tax work. Because Bansi Mehta is considered as a master in taxation. So This kind of mindset has to be there in the people, chartered accountants, which is unfortunately not there. And therefore, let me say in all humbleness, with these efforts of yours, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman, और मैं और अमरजीत जी इतने टाइम दे के जो बता रहे हैं, आइडिया यही है कि भैया साथ में साथी हाथ बढ़ाना, नया दौर का फिल्म का गाना याद करो, साथी हाथ बढ़ाना साथी रे। जितने ज्यादा हाथ बड़े होंगे, ज्यादा होंगे, आप इतनी ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस कर पाओगे, इतना ज्यादा ग्रो कर पाओगे।
Great, Sunil sir. Now, Amarjit sir, what is your opinion on my question, sir?
तीसरी बात ये है, let me come back to English because I think it's telecast, being telecast all over India. And I don't want to antagonize my South Indian
Just to
friends.
inform, sir, more than 1250 members have joined this particular program, sir. So it's really because of your presence, sir.
No, I
Over to
don't say that.
Amarjit sir.
See, the point that I would like to make out is that networking failed because of one reason, primarily one reason. If I am the statutory auditor of someone, the other person cannot undertake any work from that particular organization. If I am the tax auditor even of this particular firm, he cannot undertake the internal audit of that particular organization. Forget about the other work. If I am the statutory auditor of Canara Bank, he cannot undertake the branch audit of Canara Bank. If he is the branch auditor of Canara Bank, I cannot become the central auditor of the Canara Bank for that matter. So I think networking failed primarily because of the fact people thought that there is no gain. Gain is when you can undertake the work in the same organization in different capacities. That has been the understanding of the people. Whereas I feel networking means something else. My concept of networking is, if I am specializing in statutory audit, someone is specializing in GST audit, I should be able to avail his services and he should be able to avail my services for his clients. Whatever are his GST clients for that matter, and if he can pass on the audit to me, it's fine at a given point of time, not necessarily where he's undertaking the GST, but somewhere or the other where he has the knowledge of certain clients who are looking for the statutory auditor, he passes on to me and I pass on the GST work to him for various clients. But it has not happened. Number one, there is lack of trust amongst the various chartered accountants for that matter. Merger suits more in those cases. But you are not there at that particular point of time when Sunil ji said one thing, that if someone is undertaking only GST work or he is undertaking only FAMA work, then under those circumstances, probably he can go in for networking. Much better manner. He can go to the bigger firms and can say, you can give me the GST work. The FAMA person can come back to me and can say, if you are not handling the FAMA work, please give me the FAMA work for that matter. That can work. But if firm to firm, probably it is becoming a bit of a difficulty. But in the case of a merger, what has happened, and again I must say that in your absence I talked of something. In our cases, the mergers took place primarily for the purpose of the bank audits or for the purpose of the C&AG audits. There are no genuine mergers. Let me be very clear about it. Unless the genuine merger takes place, what is happening is, in the same city, you have done the merger of 6 firms, but all those 6 firms are operating from 6 different places and are maintaining 6 different bank accounts also. And all those people who were earlier running those bank accounts continue to run those accounts. Because 1 year will do, one year audit will be done by 2 firms, other year audit will be done by the other 2 firms, the third year audit will be done by the other 2 firms. Now, and those fees will be going directly to those three different accounts for that matter, or whatever way you can think of. No, that is not the way the mergers have to function. The mergers have to take place, genuine mergers. That we try to sit at least under one roof, or we try to sit under different offices in different cities. There probably the different bank accounts can be maintained. But even in Delhi, there are 6 firms and 6 different bank accounts are being maintained. I don't think that's the case of the merger. Or at least you lay down a particular period that within next 1 year or next 3 years, you will come under one roof. Then that's a genuine merger. But unfortunately, you merged, but for the purpose of the bank audit or for the purpose of the C&AG audit, and when you felt that C&AG audit which has been allotted is not commensurate, for which you actually went in, and it is not generating you the kind of revenue which it should have generated, you immediately demerged. And since the window was there for a period of 5 years, now that window has been increased to a period of 10 years for that matter. Now there is all the more, you can say, enthusiasm to merge, but at the same time to demerge also, if at all there is something going wrong at any given point of time. The worst part is that C&AG and the RBI says, RBI has recently come up with some of the directions with regard to the competent auditors and the central auditors, where they very clearly say that we will not recognize any merger for a period of 2 years. Now you have genuinely merged, but this merger is not being recognized for a period of 2 years. The C&AG does not recognize. Earlier they were not recognizing it for a period of 5 years. I don't know what is the period now for them to recognize it. Then you start losing that fire, basically. You start losing that enthusiasm to merge. That if they are not going to recognize for a period of 5 years, why should I merge? Because that benefit of the long standing in the firm of a particular partner is not being given by C&AG or by the Reserve Bank of India. That is where arises the problem. I think the institute must first talk to the government agencies, the regulators, that if the firms have actually merged and they have given up their names, this merger should be recognized on the day one. I think that's very important. And so far as the networking guidelines are concerned, CG, what I will like to say is, unless the government recognizes the concept of network, various government tenders are floated. If I together in a particular network can apply for it and can be given the benefit of the total staff strength, can be given the benefit of the total turnover, then the networking will become useful. It is not happening today. The various tenders don't give me the benefit of the network. Unless that network benefit is given to me in the terms of the turnover, in the terms of the strength of the staff, etc., networking may not be successful even in the times to come. So my humble submission to you is start looking at it more practically and I don't think Institute will be able to improve the guidelines much. Institute can do only one thing, can take up the matters with the various regulators and the government agencies, can say that please recognize the network if it is properly recognized by the institute also. If it is just a network for the purpose of gaining a particular assignment, no. There must be a formal network which has been recognized by the institute. At least that network should be recognized by these agencies for the purpose of the allotment of the tender work. And the second thing, again, I must say that so far as this benefit, unless you take up with the regulators, whether it is the C&AG or the Reserve Bank of India or anyone else, that they must start recognizing the mergers right from the day one. Then this is going to be successful. You recognize the merger. There is no doubt about it. You recognize the merger on the day one. But these agencies don't recognize the merger on the day one. And if I have to wait for a period of 2 years or 3 years for this recognition, and the benefit actually does not flow to me, then certain partners start saying, I want to go out. I don't want to remain in it. That becomes a problem area. So I think this is what are my comments on this.
Thank you, sir, for wonderfully explaining the recognition model, and that is also explained the trust or the confidence in between the upcoming partners. Sir, I would simply raise a sub question or in this question, sir. You talked about the independence. I think you referred about Section 144 of the Companies Act, Amarjit, sir. So what I want to say, sir, independence is the need of the any assurance function. We cannot compromise therein, sir. So if that is the call, sir, ki we cannot compromise on the independence part, and we also are aware that whatever, if we as a generic firm, generic LLP or a merged firm, we will have to follow that the provision of Section 144. I cannot accept that consultancy or advisory work of the same client. Suppose I am a merged firm. I do the audit of one client A. I cannot do the advisory work of A. So that restriction is also there in any generic firm or generic LLP or in any merged firm. There is no question of compromise at that level. So how do you suggest that, sir, that this particular independence or that can be the cause or root area for this particular note coming up for that merger or the networking, sir?
I will only say, Stacey, that when Enron happened, we had just entered the council at that time. I had entered the council just at that particular point of time. Of course, in a lighter vein, I will say that Enron didn't happen because I joined the council. But I joined the council and the Enron had happened. At that point of time, the institute came up with the guidelines that you will not be able to undertake any work of as statutory auditor of the consultancy or otherwise if it exceeds twice the amount of your audit fee or so at that time the threshold limits were laid down. Section 144 of the Companies Act does not lay down that, unfortunately. Section 144 puts a blanket restriction on any kind of work that you can do. I think with the government, we have to take it up. And I will give you an analogy to this, very frankly. What has happened is, you know the concept of the independent directors. Sunilji, please listen to me. It's a very interesting thing that we all ought to know. And I've been actually taking up this matter now. As an independent director, if you are an advocate, if I am an independent director in a company,
okay,
to the extent of 10% of the turnover of my firm, I can still take the work of this particular firm and still remain independent. Please try to appreciate. Suppose my turnover is 25 crores. If from this company I can take a professional work, if I am a professional, to the extent of 2.5 crore and still will be treated as an independent director even as per LODR norms. Then why as an auditor I cannot take up at least another 10% of my turnover of the firm as the work and still remain independent? You can lay down any threshold. You may lay down the threshold of 5% of my turnover. Because after all, my independence has to be affected by some. My independence, now the company that feels that if I am holding one security in a company, my independence will be affected in that company. How? What the hell, yeah? Why it should be affected? I think this puts a restriction. You can say that if you hold 1% of the equity or 2% of the equity in the company, then your independence will be affected. Here my analogy, and I am giving you this example because this analogy you must take to the company, Ministry of Company Affairs, Corporate Affairs, advocates who are on the board of the various companies as independent directors are enjoying this particular benefit. They continue to be independent directors. They take the commission also from the company, and they are still able to take the professional work also from them to the extent of 10% of their turnover. This is absolutely ridiculous. And when it comes to the auditor, you say, no, you are not independent even if you are receiving 100 rupees work from this particular company, if you are the statutory auditor. That should not work. I think this is absolutely unacceptable situation to me at least as a professional.
Right.
I am as good a professional as an advocate is. So if he can accept your work, why I should not be able to accept the work? I should also be able to accept the work. So my humble submission is that you please go to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs or to SEBI with some kind of thresholds, that this is the threshold where probably the independence should not be deemed to have been affected. That's very important. And if you do that, it will lead to more income to the firms somewhere or the other. I'm not saying that if I am conducting an audit of 5 crore rupees, I should be able to have a consultancy of 5 crore rupees. But if I am doing some work of 50 lakh rupees in that case, how does it matter? And if total my receipt is say 100 crores and I do a work of another 1 crore rupees for this company, do you think in that 1% of my turnover, my independence is going to be affected by that? I don't think that is going to be affected. So please start looking at it from that perspective and start taking it up from that perspective with the government or with the regulators.
Thank you, sir. Sunil sir, what is your opinion on this issue?
Well, I think much has been said on that, so let me not take our members' precious time with regard to independence. But one point is very clear that yes, it has been said since I was article clerk that independence is a state of mind. Your conscience must tell you that whether by accepting this much fee or by accepting this assignment, is my independence going to be affected? And if your conscience says yes, don't accept that. Don't look at the fees, which with respect Big Fours never do on that line. With respect to them, I'm saying yes, for them conscience is not as important as receipts and money. But when we are talking at this platform for the overall profession, which is considered the most noble profession, independence has to be there, and it has to be there in the mind of all partners. And that is very important. And therefore, in every partners meeting, when we meet, where we have partners from south and north and west, we convey this, that do not surrender to any pressure. If you feel that is increasing your fees by asking you to compromise on certain qualifications which you are likely to make, forget it, let that audit go. As a main firm, I will not question that why your firm's receipt has not increased as compared to last year. So these are the points which I will tell you later on are important for the main firm and the main partners to keep in mind. And that in turn will allow other partners to have that integrity and element of independence.
Okay, sir. Sir, Amarjit sir,
Sanjay.
if we go with all these restriction, rotation restriction, section 144 restriction, our own acts restriction that we cannot we can do only these services in the non-corporate practice entity. So with all these things and all other our I can say mindset of the members in trust issue of the members, then that what is the vision of our Prime Minister to make 100 big firms of India to serve globally? And then that vision, how can we help that vision is get done and that comes on the earth?
PG, let me, with all humility at my command, I will say that what Prime Minister has said, I don't think even their steps are moving in the direction of building those top 100 audit firms. They are only trying to build the consulting firms. Their entire emphasis is on the consulting firms, not on the audit firms. Because if you look at the entire talk, it is talking of the multidisciplinary, but audit has taken a back seat in their vision. Whatever the Prime Minister said on 1st July 2017, people thought that he is talking of the audit firms, basically. But actually, he is talking of the consulting firms. Even today, the steps which have been taken are more towards the consulting firms rather than the audit firms. Because if you want to allow the audit firms to grow, there has to be a cross-subsidization from the consulting. Big Four developed if you really ask me, why they are unable to decide about giving up consulting. They are unable to decide on it, whatever statements they may keep on making. The reason being that the audit partners get subsidized. The audit fee, the audit practice gets subsidized by the consulting fee. Consulting is the malai, basically, if you ask me. It's the cream. Audit is to keep going because audit gives them a brand somewhere or the other. But consulting gives them the real cream. So unless you allow consulting in one form or the other, and that is where I say that you fix the threshold limits, no doubt about it. There is a reason to fix the threshold limits, but allow the consulting, even in the case of the same clients. Why not? When I say threshold limits, I am trying to say threshold limit means the government may feel it will not actually influence the independence of the person concerned. You see, we live in a country, I am proud to be an Indian, but at the same time, I would like to say a bureaucrat retires and he is allowed to become an independent director in a company and then earn a commission of 1.5 crore or 2 crore rupees from the same company, or which file he must have handled during his own period. Even the bankers, for that particular matter, do the same thing. No, there you don't talk about their independence conflict. Here we are all talking of the independence conflict. A bureaucrat may not have earned that kind of an income during his own life. That's the kind of work. Because even the secretary of the government of India, what will be his salary? Maybe 50 lakh. But if 5 different companies, if is getting a commission of 2 crore rupees each, or 1.5 crore rupees each, or 3 crore rupees each, you think of his income. There you don't talk of independence. You allow everything to happen. But here when it comes to the audit, you start talking that no, you cannot do this 5,000 rupees job or 10,000 rupees job or 20,000 rupees job. If my fee 1 crore rupees, and if I am able to undertake consulting of 10 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees, how does it matter? I don't know. One may say that it depends upon my mind or what. If it is a state of mind, if independence is a state of mind, then you allow the consulting to take place. No, where's the problem? Let him decide whether he has to undertake it or not, whether it will influence his decision making or not, whether it will jeopardize his independence or not. There we say no. 144 will come into picture immediately. In the Companies Act, you say no pecuniary relationship between independent director and the company, but your LODR says you can have a professional fee up to 10% of your total funds income from the same company and still remain independent. I don't know. That is what I am trying to say. We will have to take it up logically with the various regulators, with arguments, with examples. That when it comes to audit, why do you have a view that no, he will become non-independent? His independence will be jeopardized, whereas in the other fields, their independence is not jeopardized. Why should it happen that way? That is all I will like to say.
Yes, Satish ji.
जी
हाँ जी, सतीश जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ
you are
रही.
on mute.
Sir, what is your viewpoint on this, sir? That our vision of our Prime Minister to make 100 big firms of country,
No,
and as rightly stated by the sir Amarjit sir.
Let me not repeat what Amarjit ji at length said with regard to the independence of independent director on one side and independent auditors firm on other side. But I would certainly say to all my friends, because when so many members are listening, I need 10 or another 10 minutes also after this, that Prime Minister also wants that no foreign firms in India cannot dominate the audit and consulting field. In those firms also, ultimately, Indian chartered accountants are working. Then why Indian chartered account firms are not growing? But let us accept the fact newspaper reports have said that bureaucrats wants to give them the work. Even if the minister decides that this work should not go to Big Four and should go to Indian firms, bureaucrat would put the files and conditions of tenders and requirements in such a way that no big Indian firm will be able to apply. That's where we have to tell government in no clear words that merely because in big firms, Big Four firms, as newspaper reports say, that they are taking care of bureaucrats' children, bureaucrats' education abroad and whatnot. That should be stopped. Bureaucrats should not decide that, yes, they decide the terms in such a way that Indian CA firms become ineligible. That's my fundamental point. And if that is done, I can tell you, we can also have partnership firm with 500 partners or 2,000 people working in that. But if that is not happening, this will always be on paper and it will never see the light of the day.
Great, sir. Sir, Amajit sir, that if, yeah, please, sir.
I will like to supplement what Sunil just said. See, I will not get into how bureaucrats are behaving or not behaving. I have only one line to say to the Honorable Prime Minister and the government. Let the tenders not be skewed in favor of any of the specific firms. Let we be competitive in that. And if we are competitive in that, you see, if all bigger contracts, if all bigger tenders have to go to certain firms only, then where is the question of our growing? We have to grow. Audit is a very expensive job today. Let's be very clear. It is unlike consulting, which is a creamy job. It is a very, you say expensive job. And you don't have margins in the audit. Real margins are in the consulting only. If those tenders are also where we can compete and we can grow with those tenders. And the other thing is, no foreign client should be able to put a condition that only these firms can be appointed as the auditors. Why should that happen? I think that goes against our own, you can say, sovereignty. We are being doubted for our competence. I think Indian Chartered Accountants, I told in your absence, that we are technically as competent as anyone else is. If a foreign investor lays down a condition, no, these firms will only be appointed as the auditors. Why? I think those two things, if at all happen, number one, no foreign investor should be able to put down that condition in writing. And the other thing is, it should not be a part of the agreement. And the second thing is that no tender should be skewed in favor of certain firms only. I think you will see that 100 firms from India growing under all circumstances.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now I'm moving from the subject of aggregation for one question, which is very close to my heart, and I know for both of your hearts also. That is the small practitioner firms, sir, small and medium practitioner firms. So there are bigger and big challenges before them, sir. And what we are foreseeing the changes and amendments in the proposed corporate amendment bill, sir, that about the small company audit. So how do you see all these challenges and how the smaller firms can convert those challenges into opportunities? How can they cope up with all these things which is happening from last five or more years, sir, to their practice area? Because we are aware that now the litigation is on lesser side and scrutiny income tax is on lesser side. Your compliance is AI has come and compliance is going to change its color or its all modality. So how do you foresee all these challenges and what do you suggest those smaller firms that they should work like this so they can get whatever they want? So I would start with sir Sunil, sir, your opinion on this particular question, sir.
Very good question, and I was waiting for this question and issues. Let me tell you, though at concluding time we are discussing on this. Let us be very clear, either the amendment in income tax or in corporate tax government is keen on ease of doing business. They want businessmen to suffer less, to undergo lesser pain of statutory requirements, and focus on productivity and increase in GDP. And therefore, yes, I can say my 90% of the time in income tax is now saved because everything is online. I don't have to wait in the corridors of income tax department for assessment. CIT appeal I do online. Tribunal I appear online. So substantial time is saved of not only mine, hundreds and thousands of chartered accountants. Point one. Point two, though in Companies Act they are envisaging that yes, the audits of small companies will go, they are coming out with the amendment. It will be a disastrous action on the part of government if they do so. Because once you are a private or public company where outsider stakes and money are involved, the unaudited account will not reflect the reality. And therefore, it would be a big axe on the government's own leg if they come out with these amendments. And institute has to convey clearly to the corporate ministry that yes, you can never omit the audits unless they are a purely trading company with no bank finance or outsider deposits or shares. Otherwise, this should just cannot be thought of. Forget introduction. Now let me come to the ground reality. For small chartered accountants in small towns, or be it a city like Jaipur and Ahmedabad, as I mentioned in the beginning, no option but to grow. And why grow? Please listen carefully. To provide multidisciplinary services. Now income tax, you file the return, client is happy, refund is received in 24 hours. It doesn't need your service for next 300 days. Therefore, you have to widen your various services. Do GST, do consulting, do transfer pricing, do GAR, do documentation, help in drafting the purchase and sale deeds of movable and immovable properties, transfer of funds from abroad to India and vice versa. The number of issues, international taxation, NRI taxation. Two, you can handle volume and complexity. And as asked in the beginning, I can share, yes, moment to handle more volume, moment to handle complex issues, you are known in the society, notwithstanding whether you advertise or not. People know that yes, this firm is a competent firm who have competent partners who can do this. And that in turn will bring more and more work, which as a proprietor or two partners, let me be blunt, you will never get in your lifetime. And therefore, 10, 20, 30 partners is the need of the hour. Third, merged firms look more credible and reduce clients' attrition. दो फर्म में होता है एक गलती, one small mistake either in return or in audit, next year it will go to some other firm. How can you commit this mistake, or why did you not draw my attention? But in once you are in a big firm, your work is going to be reviewed by another partner. Chances of committing any error, knowingly or unknowingly, are absolutely reduced. And therefore, the faith of the client is substantially increased. And therefore, he will not try to go to any other firm, but stick with you, stick to you, and keep on giving more and more work. These are the important benefits. Now let me come to the points with regard to the merger, because we are at the close. What I want to convey to all my 1,000+ viewers who are listening this, as I mentioned in the beginning, let us be clear. One, change your mindset. I want to grow not individually, but collectively. Two, spend first, earn more. Three, initially your income will be less, but later on it will be not more, but substantially more. Four, as I mentioned, like a wife, forgot ego clash. Never think because I'm a managing partner, because I'm 5 years or 2 years senior to you, what I say is correct. Listen to every partner. Hear them patiently, discuss with them, and don't carry ego in your mind. Next, forget the expectation of profit by you only. Once the firm grows, the receipt grows, all must earn simultaneously more and more. Profit share of everyone should be increased. And if you don't want to change the profit sharing every year, or you want to retain your high profit in because you started the firm and you are the main partner, please compensate the partner who has brought maximum work or who has done maximum work by remuneration. But he has to be compensated, and one partner's hard work should not be rewarded to all the partners. That is the next important bit. The next point, cultural mismatch, traditional and corporate style. Even today, I can say without hesitation, the culture in Mumbai is different to Ahmedabad. The culture in South is different to North. The way they handle clients, the way they speak to clients, the way they approach and receive the work, vis-a-vis what is happening in North and Western part is different. So you have to have an absolute proper combination. The best, as you have, just like Jhalmudi in Bengal, because in TV now Jhalmudi is coming. You have 4, 5, 6 different combinations, and that makes your bhel or budi tasty. Have the combination of different culture. Don't hesitate to accept good culture from the another person. The next, client's ownership conflict is very important. If I have one client, he is with me since I started the practice. I don't have a right to say he is my client. He came because of me. He's always contacting me. I only give him the advice or work or take care of it. It is all collective work. If you want to go out of India, if you want to go to out of station, if you are sick, other partners will take care. Initially, I was asked to share my personal experience. Let me share. One of my senior partner in tax audit, he developed cancer in the mouth because he was fond of eating pan masala. For 11 months, he had to take treatment in the hospital and did not attend the office. And for all 11 months, we paid him the remuneration. As if this was not enough, next year he met with an accident. He had 7 fractures in leg. Another 4 months not attending office. Imagine if you are a proprietor or 2 partners and if this happens to you, what will happen to your firm's receipt? It will be crashed. So this is what I want to convey. And uneven contribution versus reward, as I said. If a partner does not work, sits in the chamber, looks at the TV and plays video games and social media, doesn't bring new clients, he has to be awarded accordingly. But if a partner is on run, young one, meets various new persons, brings on client, brings new work, develop PR in government and get works from there, he has to be appropriately rewarded and compensated. So these are the important points which you have to keep in the mind when you think of aggregation, when you think of partnership. Ye mera hai, this is mine, has just to be abolished. This is ours. Firm is not mine. This is our firm. This client is not mine. This is our client. And that helps to get you larger clients, big clients.
Right. Right, sir. Chopra sir, your views on this very important question, I know it is very close to your heart. And please take your own time. Although we are very near to our completion time, but we can extend the time because it is a very important question. And I know that your answer will also make some value addition to all the members.
Well, you see, so far as I'm concerned, I will not take much time on this. My worry is somewhere or the other is that, of course, Latiji may say that there is one point of a bit of a disagreement here. Government says ease of doing business. I don't think that all the steps that the government has taken have resulted in ease of doing business. The kind of compliances they have gone ahead with. I think they have made the life of the professional and the businessman miserable in certain respects. Of course, in certain cases, the ease of doing business might have happened. I could have well argued with the government or agreed with the government when they say that the smaller companies audit is not to be done. If it was not from the angle of ease of doing business, when you are saying ease of doing business, Sriji, one thing I think Institute will have to look at. If a company up to a turnover of 1 crore or whatever they may come up with, I don't know, has to remain unaudited both for the purpose of the tax audit as well as for the purpose of the company's audit. If the entire work is going unaudited, I don't think this is desirable. Either it must be put under tax audit or it must be put under the company's audit. Somewhere or the other, the assurance must come in to somebody. Now, tomorrow again, the accounting profession will get the flag if something goes wrong or not. And I think the government is forgetting one thing, and there the profession has to take a blame, very frankly, that in maximum number of cases where the siphoning off has happened, it has happened through the smaller companies, not through the bigger companies. The bigger companies use the smaller companies for siphoning off the monies. So I think, but then the profession actually didn't highlight those cases the way they should have been highlighted by the profession. And that is where the members are also at fault. There is no doubt about it. They have given an impression to the government that probably the job was not done in a manner that it should have been done. So that is where our suffering comes in. Even today, if at all we have to save it, we have to ensure the government, we have to assure the government that we will be able to bring out the cases, if at all there are such cases anywhere else. Because the moment the power is delegated today, say for 1 crore, tomorrow it will be raised to 5 crore, then it will be 10 crore, it may be 20 crore, it may be 30 crore, it may be 50 crores. I don't know what is going to happen in those cases. In our times, when we were in the council, there used to be 3 levels of the accounting standard application, implementation. Category 1, category 2, category C. Now you have brought it down to 2, and the levels that you have taken the application of accounting standard. People may say, the accounting standard board chairman may say, no, we have only reduced the disclosure practices. But some of the accounting standards, particularly cash flow, why cash flow should not apply to the club level 2? I can't understand that. Why disclosure of the related party should not be applicable to level 2? Because those are the areas where the maximum siphoning off has taken place. So somewhere or the other, we are also at fault. And I think we go to the government and concur with it that probably the accounting standard may not be applicable up to this particular level. I think we are losing our own importance. We can't afford that under any circumstances. Accounting standards must be made applicable from a very lower level rather than from a high level, whether these are disclosure or these are the measurement and recognition. It is the auditing which has to be made simpler for the non-complex entities for that matter. When it is coming to auditing standards, we are not doing. In auditing, rather, we should be saying that if these are very smaller entities, then what standard should not be followed or may not be followed. Today in tax audit also, very frankly, if it is a audit of a partnership firm, in the case of companies, the auditor has obtained the external confirmation. But in the case of a partnership firm or in the case of a proprietary, if I am auditing, I am supposed to undertake an external confirmation as per my standard. But whether it is happening or not, I am not getting into that. I am not getting into that area. Those are the areas where as an institute we have to play a very active role and we have to play a very constructive role to reduce the complexities in the auditing itself. I am actually worried about the smaller practitioners in these Mufassal towns. Believe me, my heart goes out for them. If we agree to the government that accounting standards will not be applicable to this, the government will say tomorrow, why audit is required for this? Now, if we say that up to this, the related party disclosures are not required, cash flow statement is not required, tomorrow the banker will say that the cash flow statement is not there. So then the banker will say, please bring the cash flow statement. Then the cost also of the borrower increases in that particular case. We have to look at it more positively. On one side, under the Companies Act, the government says that in the case of a private limited company, also financial statement will include cash flow statement. And we say that the cash flow statement will not be applicable to the level 2 entities. I don't think that's really feasible. And that's really a good step to be taken. The other thing probably we need to take up with the firms in the smaller towns. Again, I will say, as much possible as do it. Tax audit and bank audit is not going to continue indefinitely. It's not possible. We have to start looking for certain other avenues. We must start promoting networking or mergers of the firms or promoting the partnership firms in those areas. How do we do it? This is for us. There we have to teach them that probably name is not important, work is important in those cases. And unless we are able to do it, I don't think that we can continue in the manner that we are continuing. And some of the assignments, I'm not talking of reservation of some of the assignments, but I personally feel some of the bigger firms, if at all a particular job is not remunerative to me, why should I even enter that particular job? No, some of the firms that say that concurrent jobs, the concurrent audits are not remunerative, but they still keep on doing the concurrent audits in those banks. Why should they do it? I think leave it to the smaller firms in that particular case. So there are a number of things which can be done for the smaller firms, very frankly, but the most important aspect is please promote the concept of the mergers or the partnerships in those areas. If we don't do it, I think we'll be killing the profession in the times to come. And smaller firms are going to be in a greater problem. I will again let the smaller firms there in the Mafsal towns do networking with the bigger firms in the bigger towns or merge with the firms in the bigger towns. That is going to be the answer. If they don't do it, I think the problem for them is going to rise with every day to come. So that's all I will like to say here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. We have several other questions to ask, but time is constant, sir. Time is fixed, so we know that you have spared the time for the profession and for the fraternity. I know you are very busy people, so I don't want to extend this session after 3. But sir, we have received several questions, so we will give you a trouble, sir. After office will scrutinize the questions and will send you both of you, and your answers will be sent to the members who have asked the questions, sir. So thank you very much.
You can house these answers on the website of the institute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. So definitely,
with your permission, let me just conclude to all my viewers that after this marathon discussion of 2 hours by me and my dear friend Amarjit ji, even if there are 20 persons and chartered accountants who are doing mergers, we both will be the happiest person. And 3, if you have any question, any query, any doubt with regard to the points mentioned by me and Amarjit ji, please write to the institute and I will request chairman and vice chairman in turn to forward it to me or to Mr. Chopra ji. We'll be happy to talk to them or mail to them and try to see that yes, this desire of your committee, the hard work put up by your committee of aggregation is really meeting with the expectation of the council and of the members. Thank you.
Your last word, sir. Amarjit, sir. Any
No,
message to the
I will
viewers?
only say Sunil ji had given his statistics about an hour earlier that he is going to turn 75 next year. I am also turning 75 next year. I have already completed my 50 years in the profession on 8th August of last year, basically. My experience with the profession has been great, very frankly. There is no dearth of work, but you have to create confidence in your client with the quality. I think that's very important. And then you have to trust your partners. And you don't have to think of I, you have to think of us. I think Sunilji said so many times, it is us, it is we, it is ours, it is not mine. I think that is the key. Then that is the key even in the family. With your family, if you say it is mine, there is a problem. Everything is ours. And I think those are the values that we imbibe in the children, that they should not feel that this belongs to me. This belongs to the family. I think that's very important. And whatever is there in the firm, that belongs to everyone. It does not belong to 1 or 2. No even if I have brought the work as the senior most, I think the work does not belong to me. The work belongs to the firm. Ultimately, the work belongs to the firm, for that matter. And as Sunil ji said, I think I have been luckier in the sense that I spent 2 months in Canada and 2 months in Bangalore, not sitting over in Delhi. People keep on carrying out the entire activity. I may be available on telephone or on video all the time. But the fact of the matter is, they do all the job. So as a senior, if I'm not prepared to make a sacrifice, who else will make a sacrifice for them?
Very well said.
That's very important.
Thank you, sir. You both have answered 2-3 questions at least what the our members have raised by your last words. So thanks. It is the wisdom, sir. It is the wisdom, sir. And thank you very much. But the official thanks shall be given by my brother Sanjay Agarwal ji. So I just request him that please give his formal vote of thanks. But just to share, sir, more than 1350 members have been part of this wonderful discussion, sir. So over to Sanjay bhai.
Thank you, Chairman CA Satish Gupta ji, for organizing this webinar. And I'll say that viewers have listened it from the heart of these two luminaries. And we are thankful to CA Sunil Talati ji for sparing his time. And also, I could see that he has skipped his lunch in between something he has taken.
Fruits.
But skipping the lunch is very thankful to sir. Us. It's a great. Yes.
उन्होंने skip किया.
हाँ, तो, sir, I'm coming to you, sir. So
और मैंने कुछ
thanks.
क्यों भी नहीं किया. मैंने कुछ क्यों भी नहीं किया.
So this is something we have heard from your heart, and we have tried to pin something in you so that reality comes out of both of you. And I am also thankful to say Amarjit Chopra. I always say by President. So the today's marathon session is not the end of the road, and we are going to have more and more. And we'll be requesting you, both of you, to come again and to say to our members a lot of queries which they have raised. We will pose those queries once again. Today we have drafted certain queries for you, around 20 queries, out of which I think we have been able to say take only 7, 8, 9 queries, and we have also received from the viewers a lot of queries. We will also compile them, and we'll very soon this particular webinar series will not end today.
Yeah.
So with this note, thank you very much, you sir, and as the chairman has said that this webinar was successful. And Chopra sir, you want to say some last word?
I only want to have a last word in the sense that you have been telling me that you did your articles under me in the first term of the council of yours. I will say I am proud of my article. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But I was not your article, sir.
No, I am
Thank
proud
you,
of
sir.
both of you, sir. In any case, the people who are doing a great job, one has to be proud of them. That's all I.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So with this, viewers, do continue with us. Do continue to tell us about your pain point and pinpoint so that we can provide you solutions. We will try to get you the right solution so that we can grow together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Sunil, sir. Thank you, Amarjit, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Over, all the best, sir. Thank you.
Please close the proceedings.
Thank you. Bye.